All right, Sunday mornings are very busy for us, especially since basketball started, so we haven't really been doing quite as many as our live podcast, audio podcast, as we'd like, so we're going to get this out to you on Saturday, but like I said, look, if we were getting thousands of viewers on the simulcast, we would do it more often. We're very happy. We do get several hundred viewers and even more. We actually do go over 1,000 when it comes to the podcast. But anyway, just tell us that you like it. Give us a like. Feel free to comment, especially on the rebroadcast where most of you are watching. And we'll be happy to give you more information like this on a more regular basis. NFL injuries from Joe Duffy's picks and OffshoreInsiders.com. Houston really banged up. Running back Lamar Miller is out against Philadelphia. Wideout Kiki Kote is now also, he's been downgraded to out. DeAndre Hopkins, who is, of course, their superstar wide receiver, cornerback Jonathan Joseph, another key player, are questionable. Odell Beckham for the Giants is now out against the Colts. Miami running back Frank Gore is expected to be 100% in a few weeks, but he is, of course, out. For the Falcons, Julio Jones has returned to practice. He did sit out as a precaution, but still considered a game. Close eye on that line because, as you know, Carolina Panthers will not be starting Cam Newton this weekend, and that, not surprisingly, one of the biggest line moves of the entire weekend, as Heineke is in for Carolina. So that line could, continue to adjust depending on the status of Julio Jones. Let's see. The Browns are really banged up. A bunch of guys are questionable, but nobody is listed as doubtful. So the Browns are definitely banged up. And, wow, who would have thought that they would be a double-digit favorite in a game? Vontaze Burfict for Cincinnati is listed as questionable. Some other key injuries. Todd Gurley is questionable for the L.A. Rams. All kinds of injuries, but as far as Juju Smith-Schuster is questionable for the Steelers, but he does claim on Twitter that there's no way he's going to miss this game. And Detroit has quite a few guys who are listed as questionable as well, including quarterback Matt Stafford, but look for him to probably play. Joe Duffy's picks is 8 NFL winners for Sunday. We're even going to have a free premium pick winner for you. And by Sunday morning, we're going to add our basketball winners as well. Top NFL handicapper in history, Joe Duffy's picks at OffshoreInsiders.com, the industry standard. And, of course, speaking of free picks, we are going to have another free pick for you. And this one is from the NFL, a pick for Sunday. Look, we have a tremendous math system that's been fantastic for us when it comes to handicapping totals. We're not going to give you the exact system. I used to do it way back in the early days. Those of you who have been following me since the score phones, I always used to get, look, I know you pay me good money. I'm like, I should tell you the exact reasons that we like a game. Understandably, we found out other handicappers were stealing our systems as computer software became more widely available, and I don't blame them. Why would you not want to get the best systems and the best picks from the greatest handicapper in the world? So we don't give the exact formulas, but basically we have a very accurate math total system. It applies in all sports. We adjust it for sports, but we compare it to the actual total. We have an under version that goes under at a 14.13 and 11.82 rate. Among the times it applies is Atlanta and Carolina to go under the 51. Once again, Atlanta and Carolina to go under the 51. The biggest public percentage moves for Sunday, there's nothing overwhelming. There's nothing overwhelming when it comes to sides, when it comes to the number of picks. But as far as money, 72% of the money is on the New York Giants. And your sharp versus square metrics, Detroit is a very strong sharp versus square play. Most lopsided picks as far as totals are concerned, only on, again, the money. It's Kansas City over, a big sportsbook liability, followed by Houston to go over. Weather, the only place expected to be a factor is going to be on Christmas Eve, a 63% chance of precipitation, Denver against Oakland. Who have been the best teams to bet on and against this year? Based on the so-called sweat barometer, the best teams to bet on. New Orleans is 10-4 against the spread, covering by an average of 6.8 points per game. Seattle is 8-4-2 by an average of 5.3. Although Indianapolis is only 7-6-1, they're covering by an average of 5.1 points per game. Conversely, the Bears are 10-4 against the spread, though covering by 4.8. So, most gamblers, when it talks about, a lot of gamblers would say that the spread record is more of a lag statistic. A lead statistic would be the ATS percentage. So using the sweat barometer, Indianapolis has been a much better team. Well, not a much better, but they've been a better ATS team. Although, using the ATS record, it would be Chicago. But here on the simulcast, the offshoreinsiders.com simulcast, we like to use the we report, you decide. Similarly, Arizona, a decent 6-7 against the spread, but a lig worse, minus 6.1 points per game ATS margin. Oakland, 5-9, minus 5.7. Jacksonville, 4-8-2, minus 5.4. Although Cincinnati has split their games, they're 7-7 this year, they're failing to cover by an average of 3.2. Now again, the people who do believe in the so-called sweat barometer or ATS margin, what they would say is Cincinnati is most likely overvalued. They're not quite as good as their spread record would suggest. Meanwhile, the Falcons, another good example, they are 4-10 against the spread, but slightly better as far as the ATS margin, failing to cover by an average of 3.1. So in that category, they're actually slightly worse than Cincinnati. Some of our ATS trends for Sunday. Jacksonville 1-16 when they're off of a loss, facing a non-divisional opponent that had fewer regular season wins the previous year. Pittsburgh has gone under 28-7 on the road. The Chiefs have gone under 21-4 as a favorite versus a non-divisional opponent that had fewer regular season wins the previous season. The Cardinals are 0-11 off a double-digit loss in which their opponent had more punts than third downs. New England, though, continues to be very good, 38-14, going back to 2013 at home. New England 34-14 as a home favorite. Biggest line moves, and this is clearly because of the Cam Newton injury. Carolina opened up as a 3.5-point favorite, but they're now getting 3. We told you about all about Houston's key injuries. They open up as a 1.5-point favorite, but Philadelphia now the 2.5-point favorite there. And who would have thunk it? Cleveland opened up as a 6.5-point favorite to Cincinnati. They're now all the way up to a 10-point favorite, and that crossed a key number and went on another key number. So that is a very significant line move, going from 6.5 to 10. You don't usually see something that big during the regular season. That being said, that was a true opening line. Some of the sports books didn't quite open it that. In fact, let me just check around for you on that. Yeah, some places Cleveland actually opened up as a 7-point favorite, but no matter which way you look at it, very significant line move. And this one's fairly big too. New England opened up as 10.5, up to a 13.5-point favorite. Remember, thoroughly vetted sports books and the best handicappers. Handicappers that have been winning for you since the 1980s. Offshoreinsiders.com, where you can go. And in fact, we probably should have told you about this earlier, but you get a 100% sign-up bonus. Oops, well, we screwed up there. All right. We get a 100% sign-up bonus if you set up an account now at mybookie.ag and use the promo code Duffy, Duffy.